are going live.
Nice.
And we are live. Hello and welcome, guys. Team Kuribrohs live. I have lost track of what episode we're on at this point, but we'll need to get that figured out at some point. We started today being like, what are we
Yeah,
going
it's a
to
slow
talk
news
about?
day.
Slow news day, not much is happening. Worlds is coming up, but we already talked about that in a video earlier this week. What more is there to say, really? I mean, Battles of Legend Heroes Revenge came out,
Yep,
and
and contained all the cards that we knew it was going to contain, and some stuff was short printed. But I mean, it's Yu-Gi-Oh! What were you going to expect?
trading card games in general. Battles of Legend Heroes Revenge hasn't really done anything to the format. Maybe we'll see changes with this new Forbidden Unlimited list. Not
What?
super
A new
convinced.
Forbidden Unlimited
Uh,
list? There might be people here that don't actually know, so we should probably say, yeah, new FNL list dropped
Link
like an
is in
hour
the
ago.
description. Literally like an hour and 5 minutes ago, we got a list. So that is going to be the focus for today, looking at that list, what effects it's going to have on the established decks, and then what it potentially could create, because this isn't like a small list. This is, I think, the largest list we've seen in quite a long time.
Yeah, it
Like,
looks good.
we even got two cards that had been forbidden, no longer forbidden, which is always exciting. And two very popular ones. So we're just going to wait a couple of minutes to let people get into the chat. While we're doing that,
20
I figure
questions?
we can do questions. I was going
No,
to
20
talk
questions. I have a
20
card.
questions. You have a card.
Yeah,
Um, is it a monster?
it is a monster. One.
Okay. Um, have you played it at a YCS?
No. Two.
Is it in cube?
Yes. So yeah, that's
Okay.
whenever we say is it in cube, that's specifically referring to the cube
Thomas Cube.
draft that we play. So that's the one that I've built, and I'm pretty sure it's in there.
Okay. Which means it's actually a real card, or it could be Cyber's gadget. Um, is it light and or is it light or dark?
No. Four questions.
Is it fire or water?
No.
Oh no. This isn't good. Um, is it earth?
Yes. Six questions.
Is it level 4 or lower?
Yes. Seven questions.
Is it a main deck monster?
Yes. Eight questions.
Does it have an effect involving special summons?
Yes.
So it's
Nine.
an Earth level 4 or lower, which you have not played at a YCS, but is in Cube, and has an effect that special summons.
Yeah. That's all correct. That was nine questions in total.
Have you played Rescue Cat at a YCS?
Um. Yes. Yeah, I've played Rescue Cat at Yes, I
Okay.
played it in Dusseldorf.
Did you play it at Dusseldorf? What?
I think I did just for level threes. I played Cat for Gallus. I think I played one or two Cat. Definitely either at Dusseldorf or London. I played
London,
one
maybe.
or two Cat.
Yeah. Dusseldorf, you
But
definitely
I'll
didn't.
give you for free that it's not Rescue Cat for the ambiguity.
Um, okay, we will quickly get this card. If people have thoughts in the chat, please do chime in, and then we will actually discuss the Forbidden Unlimited list. So it's a level 4 or lower Earth that special summons. It's not Rescue Cat. Um, hmm. Is it part of an archetype?
I'm gonna go with no.
Okay, so it's not Ferret either then.
Correct. Yeah, Rescue is an archetype.
Does it summon itself?
Yes. 11 questions.
Does it have an effect that activates to summon itself?
No. 12 questions.
No. Is it Gigantes?
No. 13 questions.
Ooh. Alec has failed me. Is it Gallus?
Definitely played that in a YCS.
Oh, yeah. No, you
I'm not
didn't.
even going to
Done.
take a question off
Darn.
for that one.
Well, I mean, did you actually play
And
it?
Gallus activates.
Hmm?
Gallus
Does it?
both activates and has been played in YCSs.
Okay, fair.
On feature, in time.
I mean, it didn't get played in time because the game was already over.
It got played.
Did
the game
it?
was already over, but it got played. Yeah, I
to be
hit
sure.
the humongous after I was already ahead on life.
I thought time had already been called at that point, and so you were just showing.
No, we resolved that, Gallus. The game doesn't end until I end the phase, so
True.
we're gonna milk it for all it's worth.
Powerful. Is it level 3 or lower?
Yes, 13 questions.
Is it Gillosaurus?
No, 14 questions.
Earth. Level 3 or lower. Summons itself. Oh, no, you've definitely played Globe Bulb at a YCS.
Which?
Globe Bulb.
Yeah,
You played it in your, 60 card shenanigans nonsense on...
I've never played a 60-card YCS.
Really?
Really?
Is it Globe Bulb?
No. 15 questions.
Are you sure you have never played Bulb at a YCS? That seems crazy to me.
I don't think I have ever played Bulb at a YCS.
Is it a psychic monster?
Yes. 16 questions.
Was it printed within the last year?
Yes, 17 questions.
Is it Wielder?
Yes,
Yeah.
you got it with 2 to spare.
Easy peasy. Chat helped me out because I was struggling.
Thank you, chat.
Okay, so welcome everybody. We have a bunch of people here. So for people that aren't aware, Forbidden Unlimited list has just dropped. So that is in the description if you need to look at it. However, we also have graphics from the official Instagram, so we're going to bring those up on screen. I don't know if they're legible, but we will find out. Okay, so I mean, July Forbidden Unlimited list. It's 14 days after the 1st of July, which is fine. Not much was happening. Importantly, this does affect the Worlds format, so that's interesting. So, I mean, first off, we see 2 cards being added to the Forbidden section and 2 cards being removed from the Forbidden section. I mean...
Changes that involve Forbidden cards are always most exciting.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because they have the most drastic effect on a format. Eclipse Wyvern is the first hit.
Yeah, it's a card which I'd kind of excited to try out in BA, but I'm happy that it's gone because just like everything that I want to try out in BA, Thunder Dragon goes and ruins the format with it, so we can't have nice things. But the game is definitely better off without having it right, so not a problem. We'll live. Good riddance.
Yeah, I mean,
particularly if they want to bring back test.
The Thunder Dragon deck is kind of something that we're going to discuss more and more as we go through this list, because I don't know if it's just invisible, but it feels kind of like Trickstar last year, where everybody was like, you know, do something about Trickstar, and you see like terraforming to 2 and like small little hits to everything around the deck.
at the time, Trickstar wasn't the best deck, and it feels like Thunder Dragon is definitely like the boom, not the best deck.
Thunder Dragon is very scary. And it is a lot scarier than Trickstar was.
Trickstar.
Okay, I am being told that the connection is a little choppy, so Can chat tell us how choppy the choppy is? Oh, Tom's microphone. Yeah.
On a scale of 1 to chop, how chop?
I don't know. We need to find a better thing than Skype, basically, because you like cut off every now and then, which is annoying. I'm sorry, everybody. We will power through, and if it starts getting too much, just let me know. Yeah. So I mean, Thunder Dragon is doing very well, even after losing this Eclipse Wyvern, from what people think. So it's kind of weird to see a ban which doesn't directly like it doesn't directly hit the deck. So yeah. The other hit, however, very heavily hits the deck, which is Rusty Bardish. Also, just for a second, because chat is laughing at me for using for using Skype, and they're fully in their rights to do so. But Skype also has a handier API it has this NDI thing, which means I can just pull in the window with less hassle. So
we'll be in 2019 in a few years, boys. Don't worry.
Tom's not even streaming off a computer. We're just kind of making it up.
Who has a computer?
People who like playing video games, I guess. I don't know.
I like playing card games. More of those, please.
Rusty Bardish. I mean, I feel like Rusty could have easily been hit the time that we saw Rank Up Magic getting hit.
Yeah.
It is also, a really strong
card.
How
is Rank Up Magic still banned?
It's clearly broken. You know, you hard draw it off your Saryuja in your Thunder Dragon PK deck, and then you make your Azatoth during your turn.
Rank Up
with your 5 negates.
Not need to be banned.
Yeah, so I don't know. Like, I think Rusty was much more of a problem card in previous formats. I don't see it being that big of an issue at the moment. Like, it is a link tree that generates loads of card advantage. But all of the decks are generating lots of card advantage, so it becomes less scary.
It doesn't do any more than what anything else does.
Yeah. And it's a pity because it was the enabler for Time Thief, which was a really interesting card.
Yeah.
So we'll need to see. I mean, technically you could still play the Phantom Knights in something, but Rusty definitely made them a lot more worthwhile. So I would be surprised if they still saw play after.
Yeah.
So I mean, overall, with those hits, like Eclipse Wyvern I think is good. Eclipse Wyvern is like such a crazy card. And again, it's one of those cards which lets you pull monsters from the deck directly to the hand. Like, it technically banishes them, but it basically says, draw your favorite dragon to hand, which is kind of a scary effect.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's a bad thing. Like, I think legitimately, when the Dragon Rulers were banned, you could have just banned Eclipse Wyvern instead.
Really?
When the 4 rulers were at 1 in that format, back with Lightsworn rulers, you could have just hit the Eclipse Wyverns.
No, I disagree. I think that
But there's no problem with having strong cards. The problem was that Eclipse Wyvern made Dragon Rulers strong cards that generated card advantage. Controversial opinions.
I'm gonna disagree with you on that one.
Sure.
I don't think that the Dragon Rulers were ever gonna stay around.
I mean, they only went because Dark Matter Dragon arrived. But Eclipse Wyvern was the payoff
Yeah,
for Dark Matter Dragon.
I think Dark Matter either had or would have had sufficient payoff without.
Yeah, I mean, they're strong, but I think there's an argument there, which we'll save for another time. Because moving on, we have the limited cards, and we have lots of limited cards. First
Yes,
off,
nine.
speaking of Dragon Rulers,
Huh, yeah, about that. Cards that should never be off the Forbidden Unlimited list.
again, I think like Dragon Rulers are a lot less scary than people are hyping them up to be. Tempest is fine. It's a breath of fresh air to the format.
No?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with no.
Okay, let's work from the top of the list.
Yep.
Altergeist Multifaker, the terror of the format, the deck that definitely does lots of stuff and wasn't just doing well because people forgot to put red reboots into their side decks. I mean, I don't think Altergeist was a problem, and I think
You gotta limit the faker so that people have to
play Sangan.
buy Battles of Legend Heroes Revenge to pull El Mirage to play Sangan.
I mean, I guess like
Think about the sales, Daniel. Come on.
I I don't
Get
think
with the
Altergeist
program.
is selling Battles of Legend product, but sure, it's
Yeah.
all Illuminati. Just it's all about sales figures. Yeah, I mean, I don't think Altergeist needed to be hit. It's like fine to hit them, but I think this hit would have been very good if we saw heavier hits to the rest of the format.
Sure. Like I like the idea of taking a clip off everything and hoping that it brings thing into line. Like they will inevitably like get it wrong and something will still be too good, but the idea that you can pretend that you need to hit everything
Sure.
is a nice one.
I mean, that's kind of like progressive hits that we've been seeing on TCG Forbidden Unlimited lists is really nice. And we've had really diverse formats because of it, which is really cool. But again, it seems like in this list that there's potentially very large patches that haven't been accounted for. But yeah, Multifaker seems fine, but I don't think it was necessary. But I don't think it's completely unwarranted either. The next one is Black Dragon Clap Serpent to 1. This is one of the big hits.
Well, I think we can probably do these two together. Yeah.
Yeah, and White Dragon Wyver Buster also goes to 1. Because, I mean, there's no point hitting one without the other, really.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on this hit? Because you've actually played this in your Burning Abyss lists in the past.
The cards are silly good. Like, it does make sense that they got hit. Again, cards that I was sort of excited about the idea of playing in BA, particularly over summer. I guess now BA becomes less like BA Highlander is less hit compared to regular BA.
Powerful. They're all just setting up the Highlander format. Just put everything to 1.
Yeah.
So everybody has to play Highlander.
Would be funny.
Battles of Legend, Highlander's Revenge. Powerful. Yeah, I mean, this is a very reasonable hit. It's less important without the Eclipse Wyvern, but it does kind of like... It hits Thunder a bit more than you think due to the fact that it makes it less likely for them to be able to banish their dragons early in their turn. So it's potential that Thunder is still going to have the same strong end boards, but have more difficulty reaching those. And, I mean, potentially that could be the case. I don't believe it to be the case, but I'm not as familiar with the kind of first few pieces of the combo. Like, I don't know how much this is going to hurt.
It does make a real significant change in that, like, you can't reliably see the baby dragons before you search them with Rotor. So if you want
Yeah.
them, you have to search it, and it also means you don't have the ability to get that extra card off the second search to get another copy of the first one and just stick it back on the bottom of the deck with Saryuja for like free card.
Yeah. And also you just have less access to dragons for guard dragons, which could potentially be a thing because Clips Wyvern and the black and white dragons were just free dragons that replaced themselves. So interesting, but again, very indirect hits to the deck. Like it's not hitting the heart of Thunder Dragon. Something that does hit the
What
heart
is the
of the
heart of
deck.
what is the heart of Thunder Dragon though?
Saryuja probably at this point. Like that's the problem. It's like in a vacuum, the Thunder Dragons themselves are all relatively fair cards. It's just when they have all of the extenders, they become kind of questionable. But back to the topic of hearts of decks. Salmon Great Gazelle 2-1. I mean, this was the hit we were all expecting.
Yeah,
It's
like
not.
anyone doing a Forbidden Limited prediction list had Gazelle at 1.
I had
Not because
Dweller
it's
at
necessarily
0.
the no. That's a very different thing. We weren't predicting; we were making a wish list.
Sure,
Every
that's true.
prediction list had Gazelle at 1 because it's not what we needed, but it's what we were always going to get.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and like it's reasonable. It reduces the consistency of the deck somewhat, but it still does the same stuff, just sometimes less frequently.
It
Um,
is the Konami hit.
yeah, I don't think there's really much to say there. Signet Universe is a lot more important now.
Huh.
Huh. um,
Cool.
the big change, our first forbidden card, back from the list, free at last. Tempest, Dragon Ruler of Storms. No other Dragon Rulers, just Tempest.
Tell it to go away.
I'm
We
excited
made a
for
mistake.
this. I like it. I think it's cool. My Red Eyes
No,
deck
it's
is
a
gonna be the
mistake.
best deck
We
ever now,
don't want
Tom.
this.
Um, we will have a discussion video, I think, just strictly about Dragon Rulers and Tempest's impact on the format, because you have very strong feelings about this card, clearly, and I don't know if we have the runtime to discuss them right now.
You can tell when Tom's going off on one.
Yeah. So, moving on to the other forbidden card, which is now limited, Dagusto Emerald, everybody's favorite. He's like, the cool rank 4 that you always want to make, even if it's not the right thing, because he says draw a card on him. And,
I
that's
do like drawing
cool.
cards.
Yeah. He also has, like, his other effect, which is just a very cute effect, which interacts with normal monsters. I don't know if Emerald really has a place in the format. If it were a grindy format, I could see it having a place in potentially like Salomon Great, so that you could cycle things in like late game grind game scenarios. But I don't think you're getting matches that go that long. You could play him in Striker to cycle back your Kagari.
It looks on the surface more like a card that is just there, like to sort of do nothing and come off the list because it needs to. The only thing that would be spooky is if people start playing the Gaia Link 3 when we get some more big payoff high link monsters.
Yeah, I mean, that's a potential. You're talking about the Gaia Saber, just non-effect monster, Link 3/2/6 attack.
Yeah.
That's
Augusto Emerald Reborn 3 link rating.
Yeah.
Not the worst.
Turn 2 monsters into a Link 4 is nice. I think, like, if Emerald will have any place, it's in stuff like Necro's extra decks, because that deck can technically go into it. But yeah.
I mean, they can put back their one unicorn.
Powerful. But I don't see a home for Emerald at the moment.
No, it seems like a card that kind of didn't need to be on the list and now isn't.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that. Well, it's still on the list, but if it doesn't do anything at 1, then there's no reason not to put it to 3 next list.
I mean, I don't think it ever was played at 3. Like, if
I
you're
mean,
at
there
the
were
point where you're
unhealthy decks that
cycling
played it at
emeralds,
3.
fair enough.
I guess it's the kind of thing that you can leave at 1 because nothing healthy ever wants more than 1.
That is true. That is true. But that's true about a lot
It
of cards.
Yeah, it depends where your mentality is on taking things off the list if they're not needed to make the list smaller, versus not risking putting things to 3 that never do anything healthy at 3.
Yeah. Yeah, I would happily see Emerald come off the next list. I don't think it's too big of a concern. We're still on limited cards because there's just so many of them. And this one kind of surprised me. Salmon Great Circle to 1. Again, hits the likelihood of people opening up the Gazelle. And it's weird because it's hitting the engine of the deck and not the top end.
Yeah, that's like how Konami does it. It's a bit weird, but it's what they like to do.
I mean, people get very upset when you hit the top end. Like, people are still upset about Construct, even though it's back at 1.
Well, Construct wasn't the same in that regard, because Construct wasn't being used for Shadows, it was being used for Foolish Burial, a light monster.
Yeah, it is also technically an engine piece as well as a, like, pressure win con sort of thing. But yeah, Salmon Great Circle to 1, like, I think this very clearly cements that Cynet mining becomes a trio staple in Salmon Great. We're probably going to see more Pot of Desires builds, because by the looks of things, this is going to be a very aggressive format. And so turn 1 is going to be super important, would be my prediction. I'm expecting a lot of heavy combo decks, so you need to have those extra cards to play through. Multi-roll to 1. Sky Striker is just slowly losing each of its good cards to the limited section.
Well, it keeps getting hit a little bit and then continuing to be good, so you got to keep going at it.
Yeah, I mean, that's totally fine. Again, like, we've not seen Sky Striker be as dominant as it has been in the past. Obviously, at large events, we see it doing well because it has, like, it is more consistent than the combo decks. So while combo decks
really
are really
popular with good players.
Yeah, also very popular with strong players. So we'll have to see whether or not it can keep going with only one multi-roll. Multi-roll had been a very core part of the deck's identity in the most recent format, but also with access to things like Utopia Double, it might be a case that the deck can just end the game before extra multi-rolls are important. But it makes Cosmic Cyclone crazy good against the deck now.
Yes. Yeah, banish your roll. Bye-bye.
Because the problem is roll is important for, like, activating field spell to get Ray and stuff, so I have to see how that goes. Another Sky Striker hit is Terraforming to 1, and this has a counterpart in Metaverse, is also now limited. So, I mean, I think this is a really interesting hit, and it's not the direction that I would have gone in. Like, we both were pretty happy to see mine just hit directly. Whereas these hits, you know, they're just saying, hey, look, let's not search field spells. Field spells have to be hard drawn or searched by archetypal cards. And that's a weird direction.
I kind of liked Field Spell Toolbox. Weird that.
Yeah, we have Set Rotation, Metaverse, and Terraforming all at 1 now.
I may have played a lot of Field Spell Toolbox in my time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I really like it, but I get the idea behind wanting to cut down on it. It kind of limits what they can do. Well, it doesn't limit what they can do with new field spells. It just makes every new field spell crazy broken because they don't care that it's going to be insane.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, you have to come down somewhere as the designers on what you want to do, and it seems to just be a case of they're saying, hey, look, we're happy with having strong field spells. but you need to have more selective cards like Demise of the Land and stuff. You can activate your Jama Trio, activate Demise of the Land, get your Mystic Mine out of your deck, but and having more conditional things like that, I'm totally fine with. But it's definitely a very clear stance of saying, hey, look, this is the direction we're going in. In a similar vein, we see Trickstar Lightstage go to 1. And this seems like just another hit to Burning Abyss. Or not to Burning Abyss, to Orcust. Because, I mean, we'd seen Trickstar Engine basically replace Dangers in the lists recently, and Lightstage is like such an interesting card because I loved the idea of being able to have a searchable Night Beam. Like I think it has a lot of interesting stuff to it, and it like ruined the Striker format last Nationals season because everybody was like, "Oh, Striker's out, it's gonna be the best deck," and then the Trickstar players went, "Turn off your Widow Anchor," and then like Twin Twister your other back row, and they just kill you with Candidas, and that was amusing.
But the Trickstar players were playing the Sky Strikers too.
Yes, they were. But I think it's quite an interesting card. I think it's reasonable to limit it, but I don't know if it was necessarily necessary.
Yeah. I'm kind of surprised that we didn't see it go to 2, because that feels like the kind of thing that Konami would do.
What would you, if you had a choice, where would you put Lightstage on the list? As a purely like unbiased observer.
I don't think that it necessarily needs to get hit. I think that Light Stage wasn't the problem card. You needed to hit the top end in August. Having them be consistent was fine. And Trickstar weren't really doing anything at the moment. So I don't think that it needed a hit, but I understand why they did, and it's not a problem. Like, I personally wouldn't have hit it, but it's one of those hits where you're like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was very unnecessary, but sure. I would like to see it go back to 3 in the near future.
Sure. Yeah, I can get behind that.
So I guess that leads us on to semi-limited after a very, very long limited list.
And quite a long semi-limited coming up.
Quite a long semi-limited as well. Stratos quickly climbing back to freedom.
Had anyone noticed? Not really. He would be nuts if we had more Hero Lives, but like Stratos isn't the broken card in Hero Lives for Stratos.
Yeah, and you can also summon him off Isolde and stuff. Like, there are lots of ways to get to your 1 Stratos, so 2 Stratos doesn't seem massive. There's not much back row in the format, most likely, so his other effect is like completely irrelevant. So not super exciting, but it's cute, I guess. Like, Dark Law is a really good card. Dark Law is probably still going to be a good card in this format. Like, in the previous few formats, if there were a good Dark Law deck, it would have been bonkers, but nobody figured out a way to make the card.
Dark Law just does nothing going second.
Yeah, I mean, that's the core problem, right? And you also have to protect him going first, because he doesn't have any built-in protection. Chaos Emperor, Dragon, Envoy of the End, semi-limited. It's a special summon. That's all it does. The card could be at 3. There's no reason to semi-limited.
Yeah, I don't understand why that card's gone to 2. It's a classic case of putting things at 2 to test the waters when on the same list they've shown that they are quite happy to take things from limited to unlimited, which is a step in the right direction. But I don't understand why there's a mixture of the 2 going on.
I mean, Chaos Emperor can be played in Thunder Dragons, but at the same time, Chaos Emperor King of Armageddon can also be played, and that's a 3 and is just strictly better. So I'm not convinced that there's any reason to semi-limited this. Yeah. The big semi-limit is Nessie, Jackalope, and Sushi Noko all going to 2. I mean, again, this is clearly going to be a hit to Thunder Dragon. We don't really see many other decks in the format playing these at this point.
I'm a little surprised to see this one happen before the Megatins.
Yeah. It's an interesting one. I'm still slightly worried because Dangers, by design, you can play any of the bad Dangers, and as long as they don't hit themselves, they are as good as the good Dangers. So that's like just a fundamental design problem where they just have like super weird variants. And
Like I have a Goki pole in my hand right now from a stack of BA that I'm shuffling because all dangers are good dangers when they don't hit themselves.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that was the thing. Whenever anybody asked, like, how do I make, like, Danger BA or Danger Orchest playable without buying the good Dangers, it's just like, buy the bad Dangers and you will lose, like, 10% more, but you should be fine. Yeah. But yeah, so the Danger hit is very big. It's kind of unexpected, like you said, because of the tins, but it's pretty welcome. I don't think I have much else to say about that. It should hit Thunder Dragon a little bit, but Thunder Dragon still seems pretty comfortable. We see Eder the Heavenly Monarch moving to 1. Hooray! Or moving to 2 even.
2. Yeah, I got excited by this and then remembered that Pantheism is still at 1, so Monarchs aren't doing anything.
Yeah, I mean, like, if Pantheism is freed in a list further down the line, it would be very cool. Like, Monarchs could potentially be interesting in this format because Domain is good against the like hard combo decks, but at the same time we still run into the problem that, like, what is Monarch doing going second? Activate Stormfort, opponent goes negate, and you're like, oh, I have a hand of bricks.
I lose.
It's just like 2016.
I think Monarchs have a place in my mind that isn't where they are in real life.
Yeah, I mean, like, Extra Deck Monarchs was a bonkers cool deck. Very fun.
Yeah, loved it. Wouldn't be the same today, even at full power.
No.
Would not even be close.
And that's the thing, like, Pantheism, like, we're in a format where you have, like, every archetype has a pot of greed available to it if it wants to play it. You have the 3 different flavors of Sekka's Acquisitiveness, or not Acquisitiveness, whatever the new one is that Subterror plays, and Desires. So you have, like, loads of draw 2s. Extravagance, that's the one. So, like, Pantheism isn't even that bad. It does a lot more than draw 2, but not too much more than that. Insector Dragonfly, semi-limited.
Took their time with that one, didn't they?
So I have never actually played against Insectors. Like, I literally only know that they are a deck that people constantly complain that they have cards hit on the limited list, and I'm just like, yeah.
They were cool. Really scary in 2012, 2013?
Powerful.
Yeah, I think 2012.
Yeah.
Like, they were actually a really oppressive force in the format because they took away the ability to play Rogue.
Sure.
And that was very significant at the time. But they took away the ability to play Rogue by having an engine that could destroy 1 or 2 cards on the field per turn. That's not what it was.
Oh no.
That is nothing close to what it once was. So yeah, I think that one's
like that could have just gone to tree straight away. Like, even if it made Insector, like, a deck that's playable, I would have been fine with Dragonfly going to tree.
Yeah.
A card that
wouldn't be playable even at 3, but it could, just put it at 3.
Just put it at 3. A card that I'm less happy about is Performage Damage Juggler because I don't like the design of the card. It just does so much stuff. And additionally, the issue with Damage Juggler is you see things like the dangers being put onto the list, and Damage Juggler acts as a monster that gives you another monster. So that's never something that I'm super happy with. It's just like, hey, we're gonna get rid of these extenders, but here's a Damage Juggler for you, so you can get Hat Tricker or Clown, whichever you prefer.
Is there any silly stuff that Damage Juggler just arbitrarily stops at the moment? Because the times that Damage Juggler is silly is the times where the format involves cards that just do incidental burn. But it has to be burn that triggers. You can't like Damage Juggler, kinda. That would be funny.
I will have to think about it. It can also stop battle damage though, right?
Yeah, it can stop battle damage, but
So it
it
stops
doesn't
Melisy.
destroy. The interesting thing with Damage Juggler is only when incidental burn damage happens on card effects, because
Like
it negates
negating
and
Wavering
destroys.
Eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it destroys. I'll check the card text.
But yeah, I mean, Damage Juggler seems relatively fine, but at the same time, again, it is a card which always represents 2 monsters. So that's something. Thankfully, no plush fire.
Damage Juggler. When a card or effect is activated that would inflict damage to you, discard, negate activation, and if you do, destroy. Yeah.
Powerful.
So it's a really funny card if there's incidental burn anywhere. But I don't think that there is that much incidental burn.
Alec is saying in the chat that it does stop the Utopia double combo.
Yeah. Utopia double. Swing with my 10,000 attack, but yeah, no damage.
Yeah.
But I think if you want that, you'd just play Kuriboh, wouldn't you?
I mean, I always just play Kuribrohs anyway. Yeah. I mean, Kuribrohs doesn't give you a free summon, so like Damage Juggler is still a real card.
But he is Kuriboh.
He is Kuribrohs, that is true, and Kuribrohs lets you go into your Link Kuribrohs. So
anyone seeing any of this down here? Yep.
Sure, it in the same vein as Damage Juggler from roughly the same format. Like, there were Performage builds of Necros at some point.
Yeah.
He goes to 2. Sure. Like, I think this is cool. I like seeing Necros getting more tools because it's been a cool rogue deck in the format. We saw it almost top Euros, which would have been really cool. And it won a Nationals this season, so that's very cool.
Yeah. I've got a lot of time for Orcust. No, sorry, Necros.
Same thing.
Basically, I've had a lot of time for Orcust.
I mean, Orcust and Necros are both based around dead things and alive things and words.
Oh boy, we're a Yu-Gi-Oh! Lore channel now.
Yeah, there you go, guys. They're both dual terminal as well. Wow. But Orcust hasn't had any card as short printed as Necros or Brionac, so... That's short print.
Most decks haven't had a card as short printed as that.
Anyway, Royal Tribute semi-limited. It's coming for your combo decks. You want to play Sega's Light? Say goodbye to your hand.
Yeah, but the decks that play Sega's Light don't care if their hand's all in their graveyard, because that's their other hand.
No, because you have Necro Valley as well, because you're playing Gravekeepers.
Oh yeah, no, that sucks.
Obviously. Yeah. So, Royal Tribute, new meta,
just make sure
buy
that
your
you
Ultras. No.
A Shadow Dragon, and then everything's fine.
Yeah. That's the trick.
Why isn't Shadow Dragon a holo yet?
That is
Can
very
somebody
sad.
explain what's going on here? Anyone, please?
Multi in next OTS pack, please.
Well, no, we know that it's not, because that was the other piece of news from today.
No, that OTS pack is live today, so the next OTS will be OTS 12.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, Shadow Dragon managed to be the only Shadow that dodged getting a reprint for this set, right?
Yep, I think so. It's the only one of note that hasn't gotten reprinted, which is a pity. Because Dragon is the one that has actually been seeing play since the deck stopped being played.
Yep. I don't understand what's going on there, but they do them.
Shaddoll Dragon is just too scary, clearly. I guess we will hop on to the unlimited cards now because we've been discussing this for like 50 minutes already, so we're making good time.
Yikes.
This is why we couldn't talk about Tempest, Tom. We'd still be on the limited section.
But the dragon.
He's gonna get us all. Okay, first up, Clifford Scout, unlimited. He's free at last. I
think this is another case of cards that weren't what they once were.
Yeah, I mean, it got played in the Metal Foes Pendulum deck with Monolith, which was cute. Because you'd make your Cyber Dragon. But yeah, like, sure.
Cyber Dragon? Sign me up.
You summon Cyber Dragon Infinity in Metal Phase. Because you'd go Scout, search Monolith, pop Scout with a Metal Phase, and then Pendulum to 2, and
I recall that one now.
Yeah,
but like,
fun.
It going to 3 just means that you have 6 instead of 4. Like, it wasn't good at 4, it won't be good at 6.
Oh, it's completely irrelevant, but like, it didn't need to be on the list for a very long time. Like, maybe a Towers deck pops up, but is a Towers deck better than a Thunder Dragon Wombo combo deck? You know, what's better, 1 Towers or 5 Negates? Find out. YCS Ghent, coming soon. Then we see another Pendulum, Luster Pendulum, the Draco Slayer. He was semi-limited. Again, this guy could have been at 3 for ages. He's not being played in Pendulum. He potentially will be played just as a dragon for a dragon for guard dragon stuff, but at the same time,
but
Luster Pendulum was good. Yeah, I mean, not a 3, and Luster Pendulum was best with Draco Face Off, and that's still at 1. So
he also has Pendulum in the name, so is already searchable.
Sure, but I think if Draco Face Off were at 3, we would see the Lusters being played more so, because it gives you more spells that you can activate for the Endymion stuff.
Yeah.
It seems like it could be relevant. And you can also summon the guy off it as well.
Yeah, being able to summon the guy is only ever going to get spookier with more links.
Yeah, especially when Luster isn't limited on link summons.
Yeah, it's weird seeing how cards age when they try to have restrictions and they just don't future-proof restrictions.
Yeah. I mean, that's why Dimensional Barrier isn't a card anymore, right? It's so sad. Like, I mean, the card wouldn't do anything this format anyway. But at the same time, I'm sad that that card doesn't do more.
So silly.
The best train ever printed, Trishula, Dragon of the Ice Barrier, 2/2, back to 3. For anybody who hasn't played in a format with Trishula at 3, it's a lot of fun. Your opponent summons Trish, and then they summon Trish, and then they like desynchro a bunch, and then you have no cards in your hand. Well, they have like 1 million because TG Hyper Librarian. So it'll be good. Realistically, Trish doesn't do anything. Like, it's gonna make DT Trish's spike in price, maybe? So if you picked them up early or late, maybe. I don't know.
You've already turned me off from responding to this.
Darkhold to 3. That's good. I'm happy with this. There was no reason.
Finally.
There was no reason for Kaiju Slumber to be at 3 and Darkhold to be at 1.
So what you're saying is I can play my Raigeki 3 Slumber, 3 Darkhold deck and just destroy the field.
Yeah, every turn. And then 3 evenly matched as well. Wow. So the sick thing with Kaiju Slumber is the new anti-mecha kaiju like summons himself back because they have a kaiju, and he protects you from kaijuing if you like use it as an extender to start your plays.
I like that card. I haven't played it in anything yet, but I like it conceptually.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool design. Um, Questionable design. Monster Gate Unlimited.
It's kind of scary.
It can be
Cards
ashed
that
now,
you didn't
but
expect to be put to 3,
I
but
mean, I'm sure it
probably are
won't.
fine.
It won't do anything in like Thunder Dragons, right? It's definitely not better than Sekka's Light.
Oh yeah. It's Thunder
Hmm.
isn't where it's gonna go.
I think you could see a graveyard-based deck playing Monster Gate because Thunder has a lot of monsters that can't be normal summoned. So like, depending on the build, hypothetically, yeah, it has all the Chaos Dragons. You're playing 3 Levianeers,
Okay, so we've made it to 3.
and then you play 3 BLS. Then you play 2 Chaos Emperor, King of, or Armageddon.
I
2
don't think
Chaos
you
Emperor
play
End by the
any
End.
Chaos
1
Emperor,
Chaos
King of
Emperor.
Armageddon. Now that
You just
Eclipse
play
Wyvern
all of them.
got
You just
banned.
play...
Like, real sorry for anyone that was hoping to save their Euros Emperor Dragon to play some interesting combo for the start of next season, but like banning Eclipse Wyvern kind of just sort of banned your Chaos Emperor along the way because like that engine is not playable without
Okay,
Eclipse
but
Wyvern.
hear me out. So, we play all of the Blackluster soldiers. Like, just every single Chaos monster that says banish 1 light and 1 dark. And then we play triple Monster Gate and like Batteryman Solar and an Aloof Lupine, and we're good. And some Thunder Dragon cards. 50% of the time we'll hit something that's relevant and we'll mill like 3 cards.
Can the Chaos monster that summons from grave be normal summoned? What's it called? Really recently released, level 6.
I am not sure.
Dark Neostorm, name rare.
Oh, I do not even know what this card is. In the meantime, while you look for that card, Solemn Judgment at 3. It doesn't solve any of the problems currently in the format, I don't think. Like, if we go into a slow format, Solemn
Thank you,
Judgment at
chat.
3 is...
Chaos Betrayer.
I did not know that card was printed.
It's a really cool card. Okay. It can be normal summoned though. So yeah, for anyone that doesn't know, Dark Fiend level 6. If this card is in your graveyard, you can banish 1 light and 1 dark monster from your graveyard, except Chaos Betrayer. Special summon this card in defense position, but banish it when it leaves the field. And then, if this card is special summoned, you can target 1 card in your opponent's graveyard, banish it. You can only use each effect Chaos Betrayer once per turn.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's a really cool card.
I'm sure we can fit it into my fantastic Thunder Dragon deck.
But it can be normal summoned, so it doesn't actually get any payoff from monster.
We hit it off its reasoning, you know. It's
sick, nice.
Yeah.
But like, it would still be a monster for reasoning.
It's fine. It's fine. I'll make it work.
Anyhow, what's next?
Monster Gate realistically is not going to see much play, especially because it can be ashed though.
It can be ashed, but it's really spooky as a card for any lair deck.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
Lair
normal spells that like get value and can be activated immediately after playing Lair. Like, just having that 3 makes it a lot more. You have to respond immediately to the activation of Lair because there's so much more stuff that they can follow up with, even if they've used their normal summon already.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, being able to use it as a removal plus a summon is really cute. But I like, realistically, it doesn't seem like it has much value outside of layer decks.
No.
But potentially it could do stuff with Infernoid. We saw Infernoid perform well but I don't think Infernoid is very good at breaking boards. Like, it can be very clunky, so I don't know. And also you have less ways to search layer now, so that's a problem as well. Rekindling to tree. It's basically Soul Charge. And it works with one of the new cards that was revealed for OCG land. The like
what
fire, the like level 9 fire guy. It has 200 defense.
Oh, cute.
So I assume that's why this is coming up to tree. I think it could have been at tree for a very long time. We
There's
already
so
have decks
much
that summon
weird,
mods.
arbitrary fire stuff with 200 defense, but like Rekindling doesn't do anything unless you play a deck that has lots of things that you can summon off Rekindling.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it would be cool if this spawned an archetype, but at the same time, like, any deck that wants to play lots of monsters kind of wants to be on Sekka's Light, and that doesn't mesh with Rekindling. So, I would be surprised if Rekindling performed well, but I would also be quite happy. Card that I don't like, probably my least favorite card on this list, is Super Polymerization to Tree.
You don't like super polymerization? What on earth has happened?
Crazy. I mean, I love fusions, and I like fusions. I like Shadow's. I like Invoked, but I don't
Sounds
like
like
Super
you like Super
Polymerization's
Poly.
design. It can't be responded to. It's like any
The
deck
dumbest
that
thing
is
that you
not
could put on a
being
card.
any deck that is not playing combo in this format is likely to play 3 copies of Super Poly just to break the combo decks. Because it is literally the best draw against a deck that ends on 2 Dark Monsters.
Yeah. If you don't need your extra deck, you play 3 super poly at this point.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, it's an interesting card. It's a cool card. I don't like the card design. Again, if it like, didn't have the can't respond clause, or had a condition for the can't respond clause, then it might be fine.
Yeah, it would be less of a problem at that point.
Any format where it is a strong and important card, like it is a fine card against the combo decks, but the combo decks are more than I think should be in a format. So
yeah,
it doesn't make it a good card because of that. But people will play it and they will have fun because it is a fun card to use.
It's fun for one person.
Yeah. I mean, that's most cards in the game, Tom. I don't think you often summon BLS and your opponent's like, I'm having so much fun right now.
No, I think that's not a fair assessment. There have been plenty of games where I've lost to something and I've been like, nice, this guy has come up with something cool here. Like, the first time that I saw, just when we started seeing the Orcus deck with Winder get popular, I played against a guy who was doing an Orcus combo and then ending with like activate invocation to put Kaliga on the board and protect that with Dingirsu. And like, I was like, I got completely locked out from doing anything, and that wasn't particularly fun. But at the same time, he'd done this cool combo and ended on something that like I had a good hand. I was like, yeah, I can't get through that. And so I think that there's definitely scope for games, even one-sided games, to be fun for both players. But
Sure.
Super Poly is not that.
Yeah, fair. I mean, I think that's completely reasonable. But yes, Super Poly it's a dumb card. It's a strong card, but it's a dumb card. And then rounding off the list is Solemn Judgment to Tree. I mean, we've had Strike at Tree for forever. Hasn't made much of a difference. I don't understand why Warning is at 1 when Judgment is at 3, but sure.
Like, OCG has 3.
Yeah, they've had it for a long time, I'm pretty sure.
Hasn't been too spooky that, like, actually, no, I think it sees quite a bit of play. But it's not inherently very scary because it's a trap card that negates one thing.
Yeah, I mean, again, it doesn't stop the wombo combo decks, so oh well.
Kind of fair. I have no problem with cards that are pretty fair.
Yeah, like I have no issue with it at all, so I think it is totally fine.
I think the one place where it does get quite interesting is if we end up in a format where people put a lot of cards on the board without necessarily reason. So if you're finding that decks losing to even match, Solemn Judgment becomes a card as a hedge against evenly matched that doesn't suck when they don't have evenly matched.
Yeah, I mean, it is a very good coverall card. Yeah, I don't think there's much massive to say about Judgment, but it seems like a totally fine card to have in the format.
I think I own a couple of first judgments, but I don't think I own 3, so that kind of makes it sad.
You should have just played Goat. Lots of people that play Goat have a set.
Yeah, and I think that's why I started getting some. I've got like a few unlimiteds lying around somewhere, and maybe I can sell a few unlimiteds and try and get myself another first ed one. But yeah, it's not a card that I'm likely to play in the kind of decks that I enjoy playing. And it's definitely not a card that I'm going to be playing at 3 in Highlander because I really want to play some Highlander. But it'll be interesting to see how the format changes, or even if the format changes. It might mean that if it becomes a staple, evenly matched is no longer the go-to side deck choice because like it'll always be the first card that you play in your turn, and if it's just bait their Solemn Judgment and then try and play through the rest, it's not really where you want to be.
Yeah. 1 second. Like realistically, any of the I would not be surprised if we saw Salmon Great playing Solemn Judgments in playsets.
Okay, yeah. I mean, they've got space to now.
Yeah, exactly. So any of the slow decks, and particularly if it becomes a format where you can play slow decks, then it seems fair to play it in those decks.
Did Salamangreat just get like a weird buff where they convinced everyone not to play as many Salamangreat cards and just play non-engine cards because they're what do the winning anyway?
Maybe. We'll find out.
Salamangreat now the best deck because people don't draw hands full of salad cards with nothing to do.
Not convinced, but could be.
Like it's slightly a joke, but
I mean, Salmon Great is still one of the top decks for the format. I'm not convinced Striker is. But like Salmon Great and some form of Crusader Guard Dragon Thunder, something out of that trio is going to be good as well.
I think the lesson that I have learned from many, many lists is that if you're in a position to say, I'm not sure if X is going to be one of the big decks going forwards, then it is. Like, if it's actually knocked out of competition, then there's no doubt. Like, it's a hit where you're like, is it still viable? It's definitely still viable.
Yeah.
And like I've learned that time and time again where I've thought, oh no, that deck, it got hit, people aren't playing it anymore. And then at the next event, it's still tops. It's like, oh yeah, no, that was still good.
Yeah. I'm super conflicted on having triple judgment in the format. And like, I feel like the more I think about counter trap cards, the less comfortable I am with their design in general.
It's kind of like Super Poly. The cards that you can't respond to aren't very nice.
Yeah.
Like, they aren't enjoyable.
So like this weekend I was playing some Legacy for Magic, which is like their high power format. The only format higher power than it is Vintage, and Vintage is like bonkers.
Really?
Vintage is trad, basically, so we don't go near
and
that.
Legacy is not far off.
Yeah, Legacy is like everything's allowed, but there is a proper ban list. So it's just like advanced constructed Yu-Gi-Oh! Basically. And it plays on a similar power level. because it has a hand trap and everything. It has force of will, which is just like negate
Card,
anything.
not the game.
Yeah.
What is it?
Yes,
Pay one
the
life
card.
and exile a blue from hand instead of paying 5 CMC.
Yeah, exactly. So it gives you a negation if you need to, but like, in that there aren't any things that are like capping off chains, so there's a bit more space for interaction. Whereas like once you get into having the cards, like for example, Salmon Great Roar, like does that need to be a counter trap card? You could just print that as a normal trap card with the exact same effect, and in the majority of scenarios, it's the same card.
Yeah, I think it would be interesting if counter traps just didn't exist. Um, they are definitely notably more powerful than their non-counter trap equivalents.
But it's kind of a case of like, in the old days, you can kind of understand how they exist. But I think in modern Yu-Gi-Oh, they seem less cohesive with the general design.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I don't like printing cards that by game mechanics can't be interacted with. I don't like printing cards that by card effect can't be interacted with, but like
yeah.
how many cards are there that say they can't be responded to? Things like Night Beam. Like Night
A
Beam is
good few.
fine.
There's a lot.
I
I mean,
think that
Night
some of
Beam
them
is
are
fine.
okay.
Night Beam is fine because you can activate something else and play around it. Like,
Yeah.
if everything just had Night Beam's text, that'd be fine. But it doesn't.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, if Super Poly you couldn't respond to with the activated effects of either of like anything that you reveal a fusion monster and target monsters on the field to fuse and they can't respond, that would probably be okay.
potentially, I mean, Super Poly suffers from the fact that it is an anime card. It is a very anime card.
Why are there so many stakeholders in my card game? Can't we just have an R&D team that will test the cards and produce a balanced game?
I mean, we do now. It's just like most of our problem cards are old cards. Like, I think
No.
if you look at most, with the exception of like Saryuja and Firewall Dragon,
I was literally about to say.
but with the exception of those two cards, most of the cards we've gotten recently have been like pretty fine. It's just once they get all of the old stuff, they start becoming bonkers. Clearly, Multifaker is too strong, and that's why he's at one. But otherwise, fine.
Anime card.
In conclusion, Banlist is it's a relatively fair one.
They could have saved a lot of ink by just banning LP, but for whatever reason they've chosen not to.
Yeah, there are things that we would have liked to have seen hit that weren't hit, and there are things that are hit that didn't necessarily need to be hit.
Yeah.
But overall, like, at least it shakes up the format somewhat. Like, people do need to kind of look at their decks and say, what am I changing here? Is Striker still good?
Yeah, it feels kind of remarkable in that there are so many hits for what I expect to be so little change to the actual format.
Yeah.
When do we get the next structure deck and the next booster set?
Next booster set should be sometime
2 weeks?
around the tins. Do we have a main set coming that soon? Dark Neostorm was start of national season, so we should have...
I feel like we started the sneak peek advertising. And there was something from Italian Yu-Gi-Oh! Saying that they were expecting some leaks soon.
Yeah.
Is it Rising Rampage? Let's see. Pull up a set release day. Ooh. July 25th in Europe, which is precisely 10 days away. So Does that mean that the sneak is this weekend?
Uh, potentially. That would
I
generally
mean,
be how it works.
yeah,
And
July
okay,
25th.
Ben is saying structure deck is August 15th.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah,
so
main set release sneak peek this weekend coming. Um, I
so
think people have
there's gonna
been
be a
talking
shakeup
down this
basically.
set a lot.
But we don't know what our TCG exclusives are. We could have just better kaijus. It could be okay. It could just print
No,
like another
Dan,
sphere
we're
mode.
just going to have terrible danger monsters because they made an artist make too many danger artworks and then realized that they were too good, and now they're printing them with unplayable effects instead of just giving us
No,
time thieves.
we've had four
Give
sets of
us
dangers, right?
time thieves.
Have we had four sets of dangers?
We had like two sets of dangers and then a set of time thieves and then another set of dangers.
Yeah, so we've had all of our danger sets. There are no more dangers. There shouldn't be more dangers. Based off the TCG
Watch it
cycle,
happen.
every four set block has TCG archetypes, so we should be on fresh archetypes now. Fingers crossed. Um,
Oh, we get Appaloosa this weekend. That's a card that is definitely going to make the format better. Hmm.
mhm.
Hmm.
uh, more time thieves would be nice. It would be cool if, especially with Rusty, they got more support, but I don't think that's likely to happen. Um,
Yeah, I
we'll
I
have to
don't think that
see.
Time Thieves can really be that good anymore without the ability to set Shade Brigandine direct from deck.
Yeah,
That was the best Time Thief card.
yeah, unless everybody's playing trap card decks, but no, everybody's gonna play monster card decks, so you won't ever get a good top deck off
Redo it.
yeah, that guy, the cool guy. Redoer is definitely like, I want that card in ulti. I don't care if it's completely unplayable. The card is just like such a cool rank 4.
I don't need it in ulti. I just want a super. Why is it common?
Ghost Rare Redoer.
Let's see. Well, it's
This
coming
is
out in
going
the
through
set this
time.
weekend. We
We
have
don't know the
the
TCG
Penny stuff.
exclusives yet.
Yeah, but we can still get a little bit through here.
But we've not finished our conclusion yet.
Okay, fine. We'll conclude the list, and then I want to have a little look at this because
In
this is
conclusion, not much has changed. There you go. Carry on.
not much has changed, but it's exciting again,
Yeah.
which is perfect because the format wasn't like terrible apart from the stuff that was going a bit too hard. The balance was nice. The power level was just a little bit crazy, so take a little bit away, and everyone can have some fun again. Um, it doesn't seem like anything's been massacred, whilst other things have been completely ignored. Maybe fair to say. Uh, Pendulum kind of didn't really put its head above the parapet, and so has got a free pass. But arguably, they were just a notch below the power level of everything else, so that's fine. Good list. Like,
Yeah. I don't think there's
where you
anything
don't
wrong.
know what's going to happen, apart unless you're Team Samurai, because he's probably already uploaded the
Solution for
the solved matter for July 2019.
he's solved next format, like preemptively for the next list.
Yikes! If that video gets leaked.
Whoops. Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I would have really liked to see would have been Saryuta being hit in some way, but
Oh yeah, just ban it.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, like, it's super cool because it is a list that is going to give a lot of space for exploration, and then we have a main set coming next weekend. We have a
Which
structure deck
how
on the
did
15th.
neither of us know that there was a sneak peek like
Sure.
the coming weekend?
Oh, it's busy times. We
Yep.
have Structure Deck coming middle of August. We have Fist of the Gadgets coming later in August. Then we have Megatins at the end of August. And the Megatins are bringing new hand traps. So, like, there's a lot of stuff going to be happening in a very short period of time. So we'll have to see if there's any competitive events coming up, because that could be interesting. Like,
Yeah, like
we
there
need
might be
something
some
to see this
more
list tested out.
ARG, PPG stuff going on.
Yeah.
I think there's a card market series coming reasonably soon.
Yes, it's the 3rd and 4th of August, I think. It's that
Okay,
weekend.
that's nice. That's really nice. That's
I
what,
think it's in Frankfurt.
a week from now. So we've got 1 week for sneak peek, 1 week for people to build their decks, and then the third week is the CMS
series event. Yeah,
that's really cool.
Card Market
That's
Series
like
event will be really good.
the perfect amount of turnaround for a really fresh format, and like it's card market, so it'll have a stream. The stream will be cool.
Yep. And then the week after we have Worlds, and then the week after that will be World Championship or the World Celebration events in Europe, and the week after that will also
Are they
be
not?
World Celebration.
I thought World Celebration was like 2 separate weeks.
Yeah, so it's the 17th and 25th.
Okay.
So it will be the 2 weeks after the Worlds.
Okay.
Which is good. It means that we actually see a Worlds format that will develop, because there will be 3 weeks of development for that format.
It will be interesting to see if many OTS actually choose to use the Worlds format, because I understand that in previous years. I thought previously it had been optional.
No, to sanction a World Celebration event, it has to be played with Worlds format.
Oh, neat. That's cool.
Yeah. You have no choice. Which is cool. And also, more importantly, I said this in a video earlier in the week, but instead of deck dividers, there are field centers for everybody that attends.
Cool.
All supplies last, but realistically, everybody who goes gets a field center of the prize card from last year. So that's
nice.
pretty cool. I think that's like a massive good change. Oh, Ben is correcting me and saying Worlds format is optional, which is very sad. I've read the solicitation for this, and I was pretty sure it said
as if someone on the stream just might have suggested that it was an option that OTS could use, but was disappointed in previous years. Very few actually chose to use it, because players don't like having to put in effort, so they'll just play the only format.
Okay, because
so many people, there are no supported formats, but then whenever they have a chance to play alternative formats, they don't want to.
But again, the problem is that alternative formats, you need to have some groundwork, which is why this year is really good, because the World Championship sets the groundwork for the format, so people have a week to figure out what they're playing, rather than just throwing them in. And that makes a really big difference. Like, there will be deck profiles. Like, deck profiles from Worlds are relevant this year because of the World Championship celebrations.
You can win, like, prizes worth money in the following weeks if you pay attention to the World's deck lists.
Yeah.
Prizes that are worth way too much money. Like, I have no idea how that continues to be allowed to exist, that they are, like, so polarizing in events that give nothing to second place, and then, like, hundreds of pounds of product to first that aren't even tier 2, and most of them don't have judges.
They're tier 1. If you are running it as Swiss, only first gets the prize cards, and everything else has to be given out randomly afterwards. So, I mean, that's a better distribution model, at least. The FAQ for the event does say that they should be run using the World Championship FNL list. It also doesn't specify that they can be run as a big Swiss, but it is kind of suggested. And then also it can be run as Swiss pods, or it can be run as single elimination instead. So, yeah, I mean, be sure to know what the format is before you go to your events, because that is important. Yep. But I would always assume that they are going to be Worlds format, because that is what has been advertised from my understanding.
Just contact the show and know ahead of time, because that is far too much prize for far too small an event to not know.
Yeah, I mean, like,
format.
The World Celebration event basically does what LLDS wants to do, in that it gives, like, a really good reason to go to your local game store.
Yeah,
You
too
can
good of a reason.
you can only play one Worlds event per shop per day.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Because they can run it as the 8-man pods. But it means if there are multiple shops near you that are running 8-man pods, you can bounce between them and play a few different pods during the day. Which is cool. Like, it's good if people can support multiple game stores at the same time. And also, it's capped at, like, you can charge anywhere between 0 and 8 of the local currency.
Okay.
So it's like €0 to €8 or €0 to £8. And that's the cap. So that's cool as well. It's nice that it stays at the kind of affordable end rather than going up to like €20. I mean, so we've kind of established that we thought we were in a quiet period, but actually a lot's going to be happening. So
And there was stuff was happening that we just hadn't paid attention to, as well as the stuff that has only just happened.
it's summertime. I'm like trying to go outside and feed
Like
badgers.
I only like flew home earlier today. I got in like less than an hour before the start of the stream.
Yeah.
I didn't spend a huge amount of time looking at anything Yu-Gi-Oh related whilst I was on holiday. With that.
So we have like 10 minutes left. So if people have questions and answers, feel free to ask us what you want to know. In the interim, while I'm waiting for you guys to ask us questions, we will be trying to get Tom's list from last week up this week, because we definitely didn't forget.
There is no point getting my last week list up. No one cares about a list with 3 Tsuchinikos and 3 Jackals.
Never mind.
And nobody cares about a list that revolves around Rusty Bardiche anymore, so I'm sorry for being really slow and on holiday and not getting things posted. You can have a look at what I'm shuffling up at the moment. It's basically the same thing, but I cut the Orcus package. And let's sort it out a little bit. It's a real mess because it's been a bit proxied. It's really fun, though. I'm excited to play this or something like this very soon.
Mm-hmm.
I'm absolutely planning on building a Highlander deck very soon. I think that will probably come after maybe before the World Celebration. But like, I don't want to take a real deck to the Celebration event because the prizes are worth too much to bring a joke.
But you win one on the Saturday and then you Highlander on the Sunday.
No, you win one on the Saturday and then you try and win another on Sunday because it's still too valuable to not just try and win.
But you can do 2 weeks worth of them. That's a lot of red eyes. You can get a play set of red eyes.
Not just try and win.
You can get a play set of red eyes in Monster Reborns. It's bonkers.
And then you can sell a play set of red eyes to collectors in TCG for far too much.
I think you just sit on them for a little bit, but yeah.
Sure. You probably don't try and flip them that weekend because they go up. Just the previous ones have gone up, but
yeah, the previous ones started at like 200 and they're now at like 400 or 500. So that's kind of crazy.
It's silly.
I mean, like they're such amazing prices.
Yeah.
Like, and that's really good to see. But it is weird that they are so like just they're given out for such a weirdly formatted event. Blightslinger asks, any ideas for Tempest / Daigusto Emerald decks? I think with Emerald, we still just don't have a good rank 4 engine in the format. Like, the only deck that realistically has access to rank 4s is Salmon Great, and Emerald isn't where it wants to be going at the moment. Technically, both of the cards could be played in Harpy Ladies, so maybe something with that. And Tempest does give easier access to Dracossack, which we have seen being a strong card in stuff like Spiral. So those could be things, because like you can banish drones for Tempest. But do you have any ideas, Tom?
I think it will be spooky in Thunder Dragon. but I can't necessarily say why. I don't know if the only thing that makes Tempest so broken is Eclipse Weapon at the moment. I feel like that's not true. Um, it'll be spooky in Harpies if anyone wants to play Harpies.
Yeah.
Yeah, like off the top of my head, I don't know what it's going to do that's silly. It just feels silly, and that might be a gut feeling that's completely misguided.
Yeah. I honestly don't think it's going to do much. I think a lot of people are kind of overhyping it, but again, I just don't see what it's going to do in the format at the moment. So Chad asks, what are you guys going to be playing next format? I'm pretty unsure on what deck that I'm going to play because I have been on Striker for a very long time, and I don't think that's where I want to be in the format. Realistically, it's only going to be relevant if I decide to play. If I decide to play YCS Niagara Falls. If I don't end up doing that, then I won't be playing again until like October, November, or December. So I don't have much feeling. You're looking at BA, are you, Tom?
Yeah. Like I have BA in front of me right now. Should we go through it? Try and have one that's slightly less patchy than last week.
Yeah, if you want to go through, we can. I'll just look at questions just while you're setting up camera.
This is not actually much of a list to play. It's just that I always like having something to shuffle. Sure. So this is very, very much like Skeleton, Tour Guide,
in a VA deck. Wow.
Libic, and then I put in Alec and Barbar as two more names. I don't know that these are necessarily the right ones to play. I've just been solitaire and going first, so I have them as two names. Yeah. Still on Connector because it's kind of a card that I really want to play in this, so I'm going to keep shuffling it up and seeing if it's good. I don't know that it is good enough because I think that the Predator plants are really, really good, and you sort of overflow the normal summons. You often end up opening with like a Lone Fire and a Connector, and it's just like, yeah, this has zero value in that hand. I'd rather have a card that did something. These are really nice. I think they're probably the way that I want to go. I don't think that you can play these two together. The disadvantage to the Lone Fire package is that you play Instant Fusion, which doesn't feel like a disadvantage in that it's broken. Like starting on this is nuts, but it means that you can't play Sekka's Light. Yeah. So I want to explore both avenues of Lone Fire and Predator and Instant Fusion, or Connector and Sekka's Light, but I don't think they're not the same deck.
Can you repeat that last bit?
In that regard,
you went all robot-y.
I think this is definitely to the because these two packages. Too many normal summons, and if you're playing this, which might be the way to go. Sekka's Light gets a lot stronger when you're likely to be facing down less Mystic Mine. Yeah. And decks that do more are inherently generally the way to go. 2 Jackalope, what happened to the other? 2 Tsushinoko, and then I've just got these 3 here at the moment as 3 more level 3 extenders. Again, if you're playing Sekka's Light, you can play Gallus as well, which is a really good card. The more I say this, the more I just want to play Sekka's Light. Couple of Goki Poles and a Mothman. This gives you another thing to do with your Cherubini, which is kind of relevant if you've started on the Tour Guide or the Graph.
Yeah.
3 Destrudo. This is in here for the same as before, in that you have Mehmet as a card for going second, or you can go into shooting Riser Dragon, send Necroworld Banshee, and then overlay with the Seer to summon Dante.
Yeah.
Because I've liked the idea of playing Banshee Zombie World and Baladroch again, big conflicts. I think Sekka's Light just got a big buff, so this is likely to see the axe and fall out of my deck.
Yeah.
You're seeing like complete live theory here at this point. Um, one Cyclone, much less necessary now that you're not expecting so much Mystic Mine. Foolish Burial. I've been using this as a proxy for Imperial Order because lots of my combos go to Curious and then into Nightmare Griffin to set back a floodgate. Um, Again, the same line that I say over and over again, big conflicts with Sekkas. And once we get Apollousia, then you don't need to end on Griffin because you have other payoff at Link 4,
Yeah.
which frees up main deck space and makes deck building a lot easier to go through. And then this is not an auto rocket dragon. Most recently, I've been testing with Blackwing Steam.
Sure.
So there's one in one of these boxes, but I haven't dug them out yet. It hasn't been spectacular, but it puts more bodies on the field and it helps you get to Curious some of the time. So this is quite similar to the list that I was shuffling last week. It was very hastily adapted in the few minutes I had before we started streaming, so that it would be compliant with the new list. But I think that it can get a lot better if you just pick a side on Sekkas or not Sekkas.
Yeah.
Don't try and play so many normal summons all in the same deck together. I'm going to look into both, see which I prefer. I've kind of missed playing Sekka's light deck, so I might try and look at that side again now that it feels less bad. Like, because Sekka's light felt real bad in a deck that was just less powerful than Thunder Dragon in a format with Mystic Mine.
Yeah.
But it's still probably a little less powerful than Thunder Dragon, and there's still a little bit of Mystic Mine, but both of them have been significant extremity.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, that's completely reasonable. If we see mine falling out of favor, then BA definitely becomes a valid deck again. Like, that was the core problem, was that, like, you know, Striker and stuff were able to play mine, Draco was able to play mine, and now both of those take consistency hits. So we'll have to see if they're able to do anything. There was one question that I'd like to tackle before we finish up, which is thoughts on blind OTK decks going into the new format. If you can OTK through whatever the Crusadia, Guard Dragon, Shenanigans decks are building, then sure. But I don't think there are any decks that reliably do that.
I don't think that blind OTK is regularly a good choice for a fresh format unless you know exactly how that format's going to look otherwise.
Yeah.
So if you get a new list where the top decks and what their end boards are is obvious and they have an exploitable weakness, then sure. And maybe all of the top decks have an exploitable weakness in Utopia Double, but I don't think that they all do. It's a very interesting question to think about. Probably not a route that I would expect to be viable, certainly not week one. It's a really good strategy like week 2, week 3. Once you've seen things develop, you can be the first person to take advantage of a weakness in the format, but until you find that weakness, it's generally too risky to go hard on OTK.
Yeah, OTK needs to have a bit more of an idea, whereas like in the first weeks you generally better going with either like a consistent deck like Salomon Great or else a combo deck where you just solitaire and ignore what your opponent's doing. Because OTKs are best when they like directly target a weakness in the meta decks of the format. either because they just will always overwhelm in terms of what they have, or they have some other edge that lets them really establish themselves in that format. I think there's a lot of space.
BA. Yes, please, Mario.
The Block Dragon Sec BA definitely.
Yeah, I ordered some cards online so that I can shuffle that up because it looks cool.
Nice. Cool. Well, unfortunately, we cannot stay here all evening as much as I would like to stay and discuss everything because I need to actually eat and other things. But thank you all very much for joining us. We hope that this has been insightful. We will be back next week. Hopefully there will be more ideas about Worlds and we can start tiering that list, and otherwise we will hopefully have the TCG exclusives known for the new set so we can discuss that, see what our sneak peek experiences were like if either of us get a chance to go out to ones. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, as always, you can send us a message on Facebook. You can leave a question down in the comments and we'll try to get to it. And otherwise, have a good week, good luck dueling, and we will catch you guys on Monday for more TKB Live.